Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today it is halfway through the year, so I am recording my, what is this tag called? Mid-Year Freakout. My Mid-Year Freakout tag. And this is the tag video. You'll see lots and lots of booktubers doing this tag at this time of year, because it's that chance to sort of check in with your reading and see how things are going, reflect on what's been good, what's been disappointing, and, you know, sort of think about what you still need to achieve before the end of the year in terms of reading plans and things that you want to get done. There's never any pressure here. Like, it's pressure we put on ourselves. It's not external pressure, but you know, if you set a reading goal of a certain number of books or a number of pages, or reading hours if you're an audiobook listener, if you have particular books that you want to read, that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So I am going to go through the questions from beginning to end, starting with, how is your reading year going so far? And I would say it's going okay. I've had some really beautiful books that I have read as part of my reading journey so far this year. So that's good. I've had a few 5-star reads. Also, I would say, just in terms of getting through, I've been able to achieve some of my goals. So that's been exciting. Like, for example, reading the shortlist of the Stella Prize, I was able to get that done, so I'm very pleased about that. But yeah, I also am a little bit behind, not hugely behind, but my goal is to read 52 books by the end of this year, and at the time of recording I have finished 25, so I'm actually one book behind technically currently. I suspect that as the year goes on that's going to rectify itself as I read more and more things, but it's a little bit concerning. Concerning might be the wrong word. Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm in a slump, but I would say I've sort of been having big kind of chunks of time away from reading in a way that doesn't feel 100% great. So we're tracking okay. Could be better. Hopefully we'll pick up in the second half of the year. So that's the answer to the first question. The next question is the best book you've read so far in 2025. And when I was reviewing all of the books that I've read this year so far, to me there was a clear there was no dispute in my mind, even though I have several books that I've given 5 stars to, and some that I've given slightly less than that, like 4.5 or something like that, and I still really, really loved. But the one that, in my mind, is the best book is this one, How to Say Babylon by Safiya Sinclair. This is a memoir, and I thought it was beautifully written, and it's a book that has really continued to stick with me, even though I read it quite early on in the year. So glad that I picked this one up. Highly, highly recommend. Okay. The best sequel you've read so far in 2025. I haven't read a whole lot of sequels. Oh, I should have said at the beginning as well, I'm trying to not use the same book for any prompts, because it would be very easy to do that. So there will be another kind of sequel. It's the 4th book in a series. Is that a sequel? I'm not really 100% sure. That one's coming up later to answer a different question. It was also great and I loved it. But the one that I've picked to talk about is this one, which I haven't yet reviewed on the channel because it's a book I only just finished in June and I haven't filmed my June wrap-up yet. So you'll be hearing more about this book shortly, but it's The Lady's Road Guide to Utter Ruin by Alison Goodman. So this is the sequel to the Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies that came out a couple of years ago, which I read and really enjoyed. And this is the second book in the series. I didn't even know this was coming out. And then I all of a sudden came across it and I was like, well, obviously I've got to buy that immediately, which I did. And then I hauled it and then I've already read it because I was so excited about it. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. More to come in terms of a review. But yeah, this series is fantastic. It's got the protagonist is 42 years old and she's living in Regency, London. And she's sort of a high society kind of lady, but she definitely is behaving in ways that you wouldn't expect somebody of that rank at that time to be behaving. She's also not married. Which, you know, puts her in another very specific category, especially for that time. Great characters, great writing, good research, and very well integrated into the book. Loved it. Okay, I've got to stop saying so much about the books. Okay, new releases you haven't read yet but want to. This should be easy because I haven't read these books, so I can't really tell you much more about them. I've picked two to show you for this one because it's two, and it's the two that I think I'm the most excited to read that have come out this year. One is Unmasking for Life by Dr. Devon Price, A Guide to Embracing Your Autism in a Neurotypical World. I read Unmasking Autism by this author last year, 2 years ago maybe, and it was amazing. 5-star read, so I'm very confident that this is going to be more of the same. And it was when I read that book, I annotated it, and I'm not an annotator, but there was just so much in it that like my tabbing method wasn't enough. I actually needed to get the highlighter out and go. So I'm excited to get to that one. I'm sort of waiting for when I'm like in a receptive mood for learning. You know what I mean? Like I really want to take it on. So I don't want to just sort of jump in and start reading it like it's a novel. The one I will be reading like a novel, because it is a novel, is one that has been super anticipated for a couple of years, and that is Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is book 4 in the Nevermore series, and I have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this book to come out, and here it now is. So I'm so excited. It's a middle grade book. It's very chunky. But I suspect that I'm going to be reading this one this month. So watch this space. Okay. The piles, they be a little chaotic. So if you see me fussing about, apologies. Okay. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't obviously have a copy of this one. So I'm not really somebody who particularly follows what's coming. But I recently heard about a book coming out from an author who I've read another of their books and given it 5 stars. And that is, the author is Oyinkan Braithwaite. And I read her book, My Sister the Serial Killer, a few years ago and loved it. Thought it was excellent. She has a new book coming out on September 23rd called Cursed Daughters. I've pre-ordered it. I'm excited. And that's basically the only pre-order that I've got on at the moment. So that's kind of the only thing that I'm like waiting for, excited about, waiting for. So I think that answers the question. There could be other stuff coming out from authors I love that I haven't yet gotten to find out about. But we'll see. We'll just see what happens. Okay. This is a bit of a sad question. So this is biggest disappointment. Now, I really struggled to answer this question because I guess the thing about a book being disappointing is that it's going to be one that you had some kind of expectations about. And, you know, perhaps you were thinking like, I'm really, really going to love this book. Sorry, I've just gotten distracted because a brush turkey is just outside my window, going up a tree and then up onto my neighbour's roof. Sorry, I've just gotten very distracted by a giant bird. I'll put a picture of one on the screen for you, just so you know what we're talking about here. They're very big. Well, they're not like the size of a pigeon. They're a large bird. Okay, sorry, focus. So yeah, a book that I imagine that I would have had, you know, some feelings about that I was going to love. So the book that I'm going to show you, I didn't hate. It's not like a 1-star book or anything like that. It just didn't, it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be. It's one that I bought some time ago. And it's this one. Again, I'm literally only just read this. So it's been on my shelf for many years now. It was published in 2018. It's possible that I bought it back then and just have never gotten to it. And I was just in the mood. The reason that I was excited for this book is, sorry, I didn't even tell you what it's called. It's called Morning Glory on the Vine, and it's by Joni Mitchell, Early Songs and Drawings. So if you are unaware of Joni Mitchell, she's a Canadian musician, probably best known for her work back in the 60s and 70s. She also is a painter. So yeah, like she's definitely somebody who, she's a hero of mine, like a musical hero of mine, but also, you know, I just think she's a really interesting person, and I love so much of her music. And I was like, cool, this is exciting. Early Songs and Drawings, what could that possibly be? I bought it without even thinking, like, what even is this? So it turns out that this book is so back in the 70s, let me see if I can find it, in 1971. So this is when her album Blue, which is probably like her most successful album, had just come out, and she wanted to make, basically for Christmas, for her friends, she put together a book of, like, got it printed up for everybody, of poems, songs, drawings, paintings, etc. And just sort of put it together in a little book for her friends. In 1971. So it only has stuff from that period, although there are a few in here that are from, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing some lyrics in here that were on the album The Hissing of Summer Lawns, which hadn't yet come out. No, not The Hissing of Summer Lawns, For the Roses, which came out after Blue, I believe. So yeah, there was some stuff from those. There were also a few in here that were like ones I hadn't heard before, either songs that maybe didn't make it to albums, or potentially just poems that didn't end up getting turned into songs. Yeah, and there were some cool things in here. I think I ended up giving it like 3.75 or 3.5 stars. But I was thinking this was going to be 5 stars. Like, I was excited for it, but I guess I just didn't really understand what it was. And there's no commentary in here. It's literally just kind of, like, other than the foreword, where you find out what the book is about, you get no further commentary about it. So there's no, like, analysis of the poems or, like, stories about where they came from or anything like that. It's literally just handwritten, you know, lyrics, poems, and a few drawings that have been reproduced in the book. So this came out in 2018, but it was originally put together in 1971. So, yeah, it was just a little bit disappointing. And it's probably more my fault than it is the book's fault, because I guess I just was like, literally anything to do with Joni Mitchell, I'll be like, yes, please. I have a bunch of, like, biographies and books about her on my shelves as well to read. So, like, you know, I guess it's on me, but this was disappointing. Other than that, there hasn't really been anything that has disappointed me, like, that I had massive expectations for, that I was really excited about. You know what I mean? yeah, anyway. So, like, it was disappointing, but it wasn't like 1-star disappointing. It was just not quite what I thought it was going to be, I guess. Okay, I need to move on. Biggest surprise. Okay, I've got 2 books to show you for this one. The first one is a book from an author who's another book of theirs that I read last year. I gave 2 stars to, and I did not have high hopes going into this one, but I was pleasantly surprised. And that is Tracker by Alexis Wright. If you've been around on this channel, you will know that I had some very strong feelings about another of her books that I read called Praiseworthy. It won a bunch of awards last year, and I was perplexed. I was like, what? Why? I don't get it. And I gave that one 2 stars. This one I think I ended up giving like 4.5 stars. So I was like pleasantly surprised that an author whose other book I really disliked would then be a book that I really liked. What's that about? Crazy. The other one that was a big surprise to me is because it was from an author who I don't know as an author, I know as a comedian. It's also a book I didn't actually buy for myself. I bought it for my sister's child because it's a middle grade book. But I just started flicking through it, and then I got really absorbed in the story and had to finish it, which is, to me, a big surprise. And again, I think I gave it like 4 or 4.5 stars. That's Rockstar Detectives by Adam Hills. It's great. I really liked it. It's a really great story. And I read this one really early on in the year. It was super surprising to me. Was not expecting at all that this was going to be like a new favourite book. But I did not end up giving it to my sister's child. I ended up keeping it. It's great. Loved it. Okay, let's see. Favourite new author, debut or new to you? Okay, this one I also... It's a bit of a weird answer to this because I don't know that I could say of all of the books that I've read this year so far that anyone's like jumped out at me as being like, oh, new favourite. However, I did read a book and give it 5 stars, and then I immediately sought out another book by this author and purchased it immediately. So I think that kind of qualifies, right? So I don't know that I would say this is a favourite author of mine, but it's someone who I'm excited to read more from. I think that fits the bill. So the book that I read is called Even in the Dark by Rose Lucas. She's a poet, and she is Australian. This was published by University of Western Australia Publishing Press. And I immediately, after finishing this book and giving it 5 stars, and you can see I've tabbed quite a few of the poems at the top there, I immediately wanted to read more from this author, so I bought another of her poetry collection. So I think that answers that question. That fits the bill. Okay, newest fictional crush. I always find this question quite difficult to answer because I don't read a lot of romance for starters. So I'm not really reading a lot of books where there's somebody who I'm supposed to feel crushy about, you know what I mean? Like to be in love with or, you know, have feelings for, strong opinions about. So I always find this a bit of a hard one to answer, and I think you'll find my answer to it amusing. And that is, I'm choosing Brother Cadfael from A Morbid Taste for Bones by Ellis Peters. So this is the Cadfael Chronicles Book 1, which I read in May, I think. And I'm not in love with Brother Cadfael, but, you know, he's a cool guy. I'd be interested to spend some time with him and like see how things go, you know. So yeah, that's my answer. Brother Cadfael. Okay, moving right along. Newest favourite character. I could have answered the same, but as I said, I'm trying to choose different books for different questions. So the newest favourite character that I'm choosing is Coco from Witch Hat Atelier. Again, I've only just finished this one in June, so I haven't wrapped it up yet on the channel, but so further review on its way. But this one I just really is a very sweet character. She's a little girl, but she's kind of like got some spunk and some, like, you know, she's just fun and cool and innocent but cute and like has more power than she realizes, and I think as the series goes on she's probably going to start to realize that a little bit more. So I'm excited to keep reading from this series, and I think she's a great character. I could have also picked her the witch, the name of whom escapes me, but he's really cool as well. She kind of discovers magic through this witch accidentally, and he's just a cool guy. So yeah, I could have picked him as well, but I think I'm gonna go with Coco. All right, a book that made you cry. I could have put How to Save Babylon in this one because that definitely made me cry, but the only other book, like, normally, look, if I cry in a book, you know it's a good book. Because obviously the writer's done something that, like, brings out that emotion with you, or it's connected with you in some way. And, you know, so therefore, you know, you feel attached to these characters. You want them to succeed, and maybe something's happened. How to Save Babylon is a memoir. So that's a real person. I felt attached. And I was right there. The writing is so good. But the one I've gone with is A Language of Limbs by Dylin Hardcastle. This is a book that was nominated for the Stella Prize. Didn't make it to the short list. It was on the long list. And it was the first book that I read from the Stella Prize long list. And I cried at the end of it. Not at the end, but like as some stuff was escalating. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Really, really great book. Let's just leave it at that. It was great. I liked it. Okay, a book that made you happy. This is the aforementioned other sequel book that I've read, and that is Heartstopper Volume 4. This series just makes me happy. It's a really beautiful, wholesome relationship, and I really enjoy reading about it and seeing how it's developing. So this is book 4 that I finished, which is the only one I finished this year. The other 3 I read last year, I believe. So I've got book 5, and then I've got some of the novellas. So I'll probably keep kind of hanging about in that world, in the Heartstopper universe, because yeah, it's just such a nice, happy place to be. Even when things go wrong, like, people are just lovely to each other, and that's just nice. I like it. Okay, 13. The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. I found this one kind of hard because I can't remember all of the books that I've picked up, because I have a problem. I buy too many books. So I was just sort of like thinking about some of the ones that have kind of come in a bit more recently. So potentially there's other ones that I bought earlier on and I've just forgotten that they have beautiful covers because they've gone onto the shelf or whatever, and I'm not looking at the covers anymore. So the 2 that I'm going to say that I think are quite beautiful are Half-Assed Human by Leena Norms. And the reason I think this one is beautiful is because of the, like, embroidery style. I think the only thing that would have made this better for me is if it was, like, raised. So, like, it had texture to it as well. I think that would have been amazing. But I think this is actually really beautiful. Little embroidery sort of thing. So, yeah, I think that's beautiful. And the other one that I'm going to say is A Little Trickerie by Rosanna Pike. This one's currently longlisted. It was longlisted for the Women's Prize. Shortlisted maybe even. Maybe not. At least longlisted for the Women's Prize this year. And it was the one I was the most excited about. So I picked up a copy. And I'm just a sucker for gold foil, so I think that's probably what's dazzling me a little bit with this cover, but I think it's quite beautiful as well. Okay, and the last thing is thinking about moving forward, like what's happening. What do I still need to read? Books I need to read by the end of the year. So I have decided this year that I'm trying not to overcommit myself to reading particular books if I can, because when I do that, I start to feel like I don't want to read them anymore, which is sad, but there you go. So there are some books though that I would like to read by the end of the year. I would like to read the Miles Franklin shortlist. Partway through one of the books, I'm not really enjoying it. I won't say which one at the moment. I don't think I'm going to DNF it. Like, I'm not hating it, but I am struggling through it. Probably because I'm reading it right before bed. And it's making me sleepy. Maybe. Because it is very, like, stream of consciousness kind of style. Hard to follow is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, I'm planning to read the Miles Franklin shortlist. We'll see how we go with that goal. I also have 2 buddy reads that I really want to do. One is one that I set up at the end of last year, and I was like, at some point in 2025, I'm going to read To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I think I can do this. It's not super long. I think I can manage. And it's one that I really want to read. Initially, I had talked with Elizabeth Morgan, whose channel I'll link down below. So she's part of this buddy read also. Neither of us have started the book, so I'm okay. But someone else who's joined our buddy read has already finished the book, so deal with that information as you will. But at some point in the second half of the year, I would like to read To the Lighthouse. The other book is one that one of you have asked if I wanted to buddy read. So that's Tanya. And I've said, yes, that would be great. And that is Unsettled by Kate Grenville, A Journey Through Time and Place. So I would really like to do right by Tanya and get this one done. So just in case, Tanya, you haven't seen my message, I'm thinking that I'm going to read this in August. That's sort of my plan. So we'll see. We'll see if that eventuates. I also have a book club where we attempt to read books from around the world. And I would say this year I've gotten a little bit behind, and I've got a few unfinished books from that project that I would like to sort of just knock out and try and finish. So I've got several just kind of sitting just here on my cart next to me that are calling out to me to get done. Let me see if I can pull them out. I didn't pull them out. I wasn't going to show these to you, but here we are. So one is Pink Slime by Fernanda Trias. I've also got Femme by Magda Carnecci. And this one could be a bit of a disaster to pull out because I think it might be structurally holding some stuff up. No, we're okay. Stolen by Anne-Helene Lestadius. That's 3 at least. And then I also have another book, which I don't have here because I've packed it. I'm about to go away on a trip. So I've packed this book to read. We're reading a book from China, and it's a choose your own adventure this time around. So we're not picking a particular book. Everybody gets to choose their own book because we have already read from China before, and the book that we picked was a disaster. So this is like a, redemption arc for Chinese literature in our group because the one that we selected last time was a dud. So I have a book for that as well. So I'm hoping that on my trip I will be able to read that one. Okay, I think I've yapped for long enough. Those are the questions. Now, nobody has tagged me in this, so if you want to go ahead and do this tag, consider yourself tagged. I just think it's a great little reflection on where you are, and if you're the kind of person who likes to set goals and to think about your reading, then maybe you might want to do this tag too, and have that little reflection. If you're not a booktuber or not somebody who does video-based content, feel free to drop your answers down in the comments. I'm always excited when this time of year comes around because I love watching everyone's videos, but it's because I'm a sticky beak. I want to know what's going on. So please feel free to answer the questions down in the comments below if you wish. All right, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.